We'll call the county board meeting to order June 18th, 2024, 6 p.m. We'll roll call. Dan Olson's asked to be excused. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance and the prayer. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, as we gather together, we praise you for this day and your purpose for it. Send the Spirit of your Son to remain with us during our meeting. Let him guide us and inspire us to think and speak with wisdom and fairness so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Bless everyone here tonight, that each may be able to share his or her contributions and talents. Thank you for being our source of guidance. We lift up the soul of your faithful servant, Virginia Haskey, our colleague and friend. May her legacy of community service live on in those who knew her and the many lives she touched. We pray for all those dealing with the loss of Ginny. It is in your blessed name we pray. Amen.
Item number 4, approval of the agenda. Have a motion? We don't vote on this, do we? Oh, it's all right. Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Okay, here we go. Okay. You can cast your vote. Eight- 18 yes, all yes. And then I'm going to ask for an approval of the minutes from May. Do I have a motion? Motion's made. I'm sorry. Got to get used to this. Sorry. Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor by voting? Oh, yes, 18 yes. Anybody from citizens appointments? Anybody from citizen appointment wish to speak? Anybody, any citizen wish to speak? Anybody from citizen appointments wish to speak? Guess not. We'll move on. We'll move on to appointments. So we have the amended county board standing committee, which would be Linda Teskey, and she would also be put on executive committee. We do a vote.
They're all together.
Oh, they're all together?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do them all together then. Human Services, Human Service Committee Chairperson, Linda Teskey. Executive Committee, Linda Teskey. Finance and Public Property, Paul Zeitler. Kewaunee Board, Kewaunee Public Health Committee, Jan Janeski and Kathleen Jansky, I'm sorry, and Kathleen Janeski. And Kewaunee County Land Information Council. Is there a person for that? Okay, the entire council, okay. So I would need a motion to approve these appointments. Okay, here we are. Motion's made by Brian, Patricia, and seconded by Joanne Lasansky.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
who are the individuals on the Land Council? Land Information Council,
yeah, you want us to read them, please?
please?
So for real property lister, land information, Tammy Malik, realtor, Brock Agamite, public safety, Chris Van Erum, surveyor, Steve Beta, register of deeds, Jermaine Bertrand, county treasurer, Michelle Dax, citizen member, Nicole Barbio, and other members, Davina Boness, Matt Josky, Jeremy Kroll, Ross Loining, Dave Myers, Tracy Nullenberg, and Marty Tremmel.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask for a motion to approve them all at one time. Yes, Brian, okay, and okay. So, okay, cast your vote. Eighteen yes. Okay, we'll move to item number 8, the annual, we have a presentation, but I don't think we have anybody here from Buck Tussle tonight, do we?
That appears to be correct, Mr. Chair. I did send a message. I haven't heard back yet, so I'm not quite sure where any miscommunication may have occurred, but there is no one here to present for Bug Tussle.
Has everybody received a packet like this? No, it hasn't, okay. I guess if we don't have, if the committee doesn't have any information on this, we're gonna have to table it. So maybe he'll show up, or I'm not sure what to do on this one. Yeah. Do I have a motion to table it
This would be
by voice vote? Well, there's a motion by Vollemeiler first, and then a second by Doak Baker. All in favor of tabling it? Opposed? Motion carried. Jeremy, report from you?
Yes, sir. Thank you, members of the county board. Just have a brief report for you this evening. Wanted to keep you up to speed with a couple of things that we're working on out of the administrator's office. Myself and Corporation Counsel did have an opportunity to interview several firms looking to serve Kewaunee County potentially as our owner's representative in the jail project. And we will be presenting one of those for approval this Friday for the Jail Study Committee to also meet and get to talk with before that would advance. Wanted to also advise, especially for those board members that use the @KewauneeCo.org email addresses, Microsoft did go ahead and cause us to be, they basically are updating their systems, and everyone will have to use two-factor authentication. So you may already use that for online banking and some other similar things. You'll have to, in addition to logging into those email accounts, you'll have to either set up a home phone to be able to receive a call. It's an automated call. It says, "This is Microsoft. If you're trying to log in, please press pound," and then you'll get into your account. Other options are text messages or an authenticator app that you'd put on a smartphone. But that's necessary for board members to also do if you use those KewauneeCo.org email addresses. And it's also, I also wanted to bring it forward because it does provide very helpful security. We've been talking about cybersecurity quite a bit as a staff lately, and had a tabletop exercise on it last month. So the timing is actually pretty good because two-factor authentication helping us to secure systems is a step in the right direction. A little bit of an inconvenience, a little bit of a change process, but it's going to help us to be reduce our risk a little bit. If you do, as a board member, need assistance in getting your email set up with that two-factor authentication, I'm sure Ross would have no problem helping you, supporting you through that. But I did it today and was able to do it fairly self-explanatory. So there's pretty clear instructions provided when you try to log in. Okay, yeah, the question was, when is it happening? So we were told today that there's a 14-day deadline before it needs to happen. If anyone logs out of a system where you have been logged in, or if you use a new device, you may find that it starts at that point. Like this morning, I wanted to see what the process was like so I could be prepared for what staff were going to experience. So I logged out, and when I tried to log back in, I had to set it up for myself. So. Just a couple of more quick tidbits here. I've been working with the library directors and library board on updating the library plan. There's been a lot of turnover in the members involved there, so we're working together to ensure we know the process and the requirements. If there's any action needed from the county board, I will update you and engage you as needed. But just wanted to make you aware that we're working on that process. And also, myself and several other key department leaders are working with, Bugs Hustle, as you've heard from a little bit, and maybe will this evening yet, but also a couple of other providers have come forward and contacted us with regard to the broadband equity access and deployment, or what we call BEAD. There's been a couple of other internet service providers interested in talking with us about their plans and options around those federal grant dollars that might be made available to further expand broadband access in our county. So no action items yet, but wanted to keep you appraised of where we're at with that. And then also I did want to recognize anyone in the room who's was supportive and helpful to make this event happen, as well as anyone, others in the community. But got a chance to go out to breakfast on the farm the other day, and yeah, the weather didn't cooperate with us much. It was kind of a skating rink in some of the parking area, but food was great and entertainment was good, and missed it by a couple hours. The afternoon was pretty decent that day. So, but yeah, thanks to everyone who was involved in helping that to go off. So that's all I have for a report today.
Thank you. Item number 9 on our agenda is committee reports. Is there anybody that has any questions on the committee reports? Any questions on the reports? Joanne?
I don't actually have a question on the reports, but I had a constituent reach out to me and say it like, when are they going to start cutting around the grass around intersections in the country? They said they have to pull up so far to see around intersections. This was a couple days ago.
Is that county or town?
I'm not, I didn't ask her where she was talking.
Okay, I know that cutting has started in the county and also in some townships. I think some townships already are done cutting. So the process is going. I believe there's a start date that we're expected to hold up to, but I think it's been moved ahead a week or two this year. So they are in the process. Any other questions? If not, I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes as printed. Don't need a motion on that one. That's the first one I got right. Okay. First reading of an ordinance. Do we have any ordinances? No ordinances. Okay, none. Consideration of resolutions. You want me to read them out and then we'll do them all at once, or do you do them?
No, I can read
Okay,
it. and we'll
please
them
do.
separate. A resolution in recognition of Virginia Haskey.
Linda, you got it. Okay. We'll do it on. We'll do it by vote though, right?
It should be by the pads.
We'll do it by the pad, the vote. So I need a motion. So Jeff Vollenweiler, motion made by Joanne Lazansky and Jeff Vollenweiler seconded. Any questions on this motion? Ordinance? I'm sorry, resolution. Cast your vote. All yes, 18 yes.
A resolution approving the use of opioid settlement funds and amending the budget for such use. Fiscal impact statement, additional expenditures of $4,000 from the opioid settlement fund.
Motion's made by Doak Baker, seconded by Brian Petrina. Any questions on it? Linda?
I'd like to hear a little bit more information about this, if it's possible, from the sheriff.
It's possible.
There we go. So I guess what's your question? Or you just want to get an idea of the history or the overall summary? So basically, what we try to do every year for the sheriff's department, we've had a wellness program for a few years now. We do have budgeted amounts for ongoing, call them assessment sessions when we have critical events. But every year we try to do an overall screening for the entire department. So last year we were able to do it through a different grant, and this year we looked at the opioid settlements. And there is a section that it is relevant for those that have that document. As far as the allowable expenditures, it's in part 3 of the strategies under section IDA. Section 2, a provision of wellness and support services for first responders and others who experience secondary trauma associated with opioid-related emergencies. So it fits the criteria for the use of the money, and that's the reason that we're using it. So basically, with the expense of this money, we're gonna have everybody from myself all the way down. They're gonna go and have a visit with the Wellness Co-op. That's our group that we use for counseling, and just make sure that we've got sort of a, I don't call it a fit for duty, more of just a wellness screening. And we like to do those once a year.
Scott?
Yeah, I just, okay, so, and it says amend the budget for 2024. So we have this money in the budget for 24, and this is gonna be additional funds or?
Correct. You should all have in the budget, whenever you get a chance to look at, there is a section of the overall county budget that is called the opioid settlement fund. So all it is taking the money that is currently in there, because we receive payments from that opioid settlement, and taking 4,000 from that line item over into our wellness line item. So it is existing money. We're just bringing it over to our budget.
And these grants are not available that we used to use for this wellness?
No,
or-
I mean, it's
Oh.
been me just searching, trying to find something that fits. I'm hoping that there will be consistent grants, and you'll
Okay.
see more of an emphasis on wellness for first responders. But in the meantime, we're just kind of, trying to find where we can so we can sustain this.
Okay.
Any other questions on this resolution? If not, cast your vote. Eighteen yes.
A resolution accepting the $12,017.40 award of a Department of Homeland Security exercise grant. Fiscal impact, additional expenditures of $12,017 and additional grant revenue of $12,017.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Wendy Selton. Do I have a second? Doak Baker. Any questions on this resolution? Any questions on this, Milt?
What is consisting of various tabletop and functional exercises? Oh, thank you. For the purchasing of equipment, go bags for center shelter setup. What would that be?
You want to explain that, please? Yeah, please.
There is some additional information in the packet that can be referred to as well that supports that, that request. So some of those things are discussed in the packet.
Yes, like Dave said, a lot of it.
Your speaker's not on. Perfect.
All right, like Dave said, a lot of that is explained in that packet. I did not bring the information with me. But tabletop exercises, so the Family Assistance Center is something that we don't have here in Kewaunee County. In the event of a mass incident where we have a number of injured or deceased, we don't have any plan in place for individuals to go to be able to meet with others to find out where their loved ones are. So that is the basic of what the Family Assistance Center plan is. In order to put a plan together, you need to have a tabletop exercise or two. That way you can see if what you're putting together is going to work or how it needs to be changed. That's why we have at least 2 tabletops put in this grant. The go bags is going to be forms or other documentation put together. So in the event of a family assistance center needed anywhere here in Kewaunee County, you can take that bag with you wherever you need to go.
Any more questions for Tracy? Thank you, Tracy. Any other questions on this resolution? If not, cast your vote. 18 yes.
A resolution accepting the $10,413 award of an ARPA HCBS Social Isolation and Loneliness Grant. Fiscal impact statement, additional expenditures of $10,413 and additional government grant revenue of $10,413.
Do I hear a motion on this, please? Motion by Tom Rumden, seconded by Brian Patricia. Any questions on this resolution? Milt?
So this is a 1-to-1 for the expense and then the grant revenue would cover it to the dollar, it looks, $10,413. Okay, thank you.
You answered your own question.
Okay, but just for clarification, if it does, is what I asked. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, cast your vote. Eighteen yes. Next resolution. That's it. There you go. Okay. Yes. The consideration of an ordinance here, read at a previous board meeting. There are a couple of things that our corporate counsel would like to explain to us before we move forward.
Well, this is the floodplain zoning ordinance that has been in the packet. We had it at the last month's meeting, and it's been before the committee as well. So, in reviewing it, just before our meeting, I noticed that there's an error in the numbering system. So when this was a collaboration between Land and Water and the Department of Natural Resources. They provided an initial document that was sent over to our Land and Water Department. At some point, we changed the numbering system in that document or in the ordinance so that it would be compliant with our ordinance or our numbering system here. But as I read through it, I noticed that some of those numbers don't line up. So what I would ask is if the board decides to approve, I would ask that it be approved contingent upon Corporation Counsel making those corrections or correcting scrivener's errors when it comes to the numbering system, not to the language of the document, just the numbering system in the document, so that we can clean that up before sending it back to the state or before publishing.
Any questions on this? Motion's been made by, okay, I'm sorry, Linda.
What were the amendments to this ordinance? I mean, there's nothing highlighted in here that shows where the amendments are or were.
Right, so this is a complete redrafting of the floodplain ordinance. So putting the old one, essentially, if you wanted to look at what the differences were, you would have to take the entire old ordinance and compare it to the new one. There's really not much of a carryover there. So this is FEMA changed some of the floodplain requirements or what actually falls into the floodplain. So the maps have changed, the language has changed. Because there's so many changes, it's a complete rewrite. So there would be no redlining or anything like that to provide that where you could see the specific changes.
So you revamped the whole ordinance. Is that what you're saying, more or less?
Correct.
Any other questions? Doak?
Is the language you were going to vote on include what?
Yes. It'll be voted on with the upgraded lettering, correct? There's,
I would ask if the motion was made by Tim, I would ask that that actually be verbally stated so that we can.
we have to,
record that in
we
the
have to
minutes.
actually have that discussion after there's been a motion and a second here. So there's a motion made by Tim Kinnard and a second by Joanne Lozansky. Are there any questions on this? I'm sorry, Kim Kroll. I'm sorry.
And if you want a verbal from me saying with what Dave had mentioned, the number changes to get things back in line to where they need to be, that is part of my motion, so.
Does that answer your question? Yeah, okay. Any other questions? Milt?
This is sure a lot of reading. I just wonder how many supervisors read this whole thing. So I read most of it, but I don't know. Some of it you could call almost lawyer speak. Is that a proper word? So it's the thought, of course, is proper, but
Could Tracy maybe come up? We just had the meeting, Milt, or Jeremy can explain it all, so. This is something our hands are sort of tied. We need to do this. This is all about if something would happen, that we fall into the right area, that people are able to get their insurance for floodplain. Some people were taken out of the floodplain. Some people were put into the floodplain. So it's maybe a little bit backwards.
We'll have Davina
So
talk on it, please.
Yeah, we're fortunate enough to have Davina here tonight. So she worked tirelessly on this on this effort and was really critical in the drafting of this. So she has a pretty good idea of what the purpose and intent is here.
Oh, okay. So in March, this is the letter that we got from FEMA to Chairman Olson. So it says, recently Kewaunee County received a letter of final determination, date of August 28th of 2024 from FEMA notifying the county that updated flood insurance rate maps and a flood insurance study for Kewaunee County must be adopted into the local floodplain ordinance within 6 months. The county ordinance must be updated and approved by DNR and FEMA no later than August 28th of 2024, or your community will be suspended from the National Flood Insurance Program. So like I said, we were notified in March of these new maps from FEMA, and in order to stay in compliance with state and federal law, we need to adopt them locally. DNR did the rewrite of the ordinance so that it would be a sure pass with their state language. The numbering system was my mistake. I renumbered it to match our chapter 19. So I literally just have to go in and put 19s in front of some of the 3.15 Gs. So that's what this is as an ordinance update.
thank you.
That answers everybody's questions. Joe?
So who actually determined what areas are in the floodplain? Was that the committee or the DNR?
That was FEMA. So FEMA did the study and they are the ones that have the maps. We have paper maps that are in Tracy's office, and the GIS database will be released on August 28th of 2024. So from what our understanding is from FEMA, there's only like a handful or like 10 people that are going to now be in it, but some people will actually be out of it. But that was all done by FEMA. So those are their maps and we need to adopt them.
Will those people be notified that they've been put into this floodplain?
Yes, so once we actually have the full maps approved by FEMA and released to us, then they will be notified by our office and we will work with those individuals.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Wendy, you have a question?
I think it's been answered. I was just curious on page 2, the official maps, you said those are in Tracy's office, if we wanted to take a look at them?
The paper, yes, the paper copies are in Tracy's office.
Okay.
So she is the official map holder for Kewaunee County, which we just learned too. So we're waiting for the GIS database to come in, because then people can actually get down and measure whether their house is in or out.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I would just make one comment, Gary, what I can do for the board is once we have that, those numbers corrected at our next meeting, I can bring it into sort of an informational thing or present that in the packet as to how that was changed. So everybody's aware of what those changes are. If you would like.
Perfect. Thank you, Davina. I guess we're ready to vote on this then. Seventeen yes, 1 no. Item number 14 is the resolutions from other counties. I believe we have one.
From Lafayette County, individual health decisions pertaining to COVID-19 government lockdowns, vaccine and mask mandates.
Any events from Kewaunee County to be announced? Yes, Jeff.
July 3rd fireworks, in the city of Kewaunee and, events down at the Lake Haven Hall.
Matt? Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Chair's comments. Thanks for listening to me tonight. We have July 16th, the meetings events. I believe there is going to be a county board meeting on July 16th. That's the last I was told here, so so plan on that. If there's a change, I'm sure you'll be notified. August 20th was previously scheduled, and September 17th is the next one. I guess I would ask for a motion to approve the September 7th. That can be just a hand vote. Vote by Doak. Do I hear a second? Second by whom? Oh, Aaron, I'm sorry. All in favor by saying aye. Motion carried. Ask for an adjournment. Brian made the motion. Do I hear a second? By Nick, seconded by Nick. Oh, thank you. Pardon? Yes. Doak made the, Brian made it, and then Nick did it. Motion carried. Yes.
Have some sort of card or something for Virginia?
So that's already been
That's all taken care of.
done,
Thank you,
and
thank
you can see me.
Thank
and
you, thank you.
Sure.
Well, I gotta go this one. Wait, everybody's waiting for that? Done.